we're seeing here too, dialysis centers are popping up. I had a professor in grad school. He was like, have y'all noticed, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but have y'all noticed that dialysis centers like Davido centers and kidney centers,
all over the place.
They're all over, and they're mainly in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And that's not just unique to here. It's also happening there too. Like, it's so prevalent now. Like, everyone is having kidney issues in Africa.
At this point, I don't trust you if you're not a conspiracy theorist. Like, there's stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, if you don't believe there's something going on,
like,
then
if you think everything is surface level is real.
Because I was gonna say your professor said not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I mean,
he wasn't wrong.
He's not wrong. If it's in our neighborhoods,
and it's just like, and I didn't really understand how prevalent it was until it started hitting home. I'm like, all of these people in my family are on dialysis now. It's in Africa, and I'm like, okay, we're seeing it with fibroids amongst black women, right? We're seeing it with PCOS amongst black women, right? We're seeing prostate issues amongst black men, right? So it's like, okay, something's not adding up here.
Yep.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Afronomics. We got another great episode here for you today. I'm your host, Sita Dambuya.
And I'm your boy, Llewellyn Dixon. What's happening?
Boom, bow. And we got another great guest here, Miss Desirée Anyasodo.
That's right.
And you're Igbo, right?
I am. I'm half Igbo.
Half Igbo. Okay, all right. Now, I could tell by your business name. I was like, that is a very Igbo name.
Yes.
Yeah, so Igbo, she hails from Nigeria. You know, Nigeria stand up. Not all at once. There's a lot of y'all.
It's a lot of y'all. Please.
But we got love. We got love.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong. I can't deny that. It's a lot of us.
Yeah, and another thing that's important to point out, she's actually just came. She recently was just in Nigeria doing some work, which we're going to get into. Desirée is, she runs Lady Adaure. Lady Adaure. Let me make sure I get the full bio right, because I got all of these notes and I took time to put it together. So she runs Lady Adaure Outreach Foundation, which is a public health focused NGO that supports at-risk populations, essentially just providing health care to people in Nigeria and rural Nigeria at no cost, I believe.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. And then her day job or the for-profit business is she's a communication consultant through her own company, Amaka Communications. And I know Amaka is an Igbo name. My best friend's sister is Amaka, and he's
nice.
Igbo as hell. So yeah, that's why I knew it off rip. But before we get too deep into the conversation, we're going to have what we do every episode, which is our segment called Wahala.
Wahala!
Okay.
Why do you look scared?
Yeah.
I'd be scared too, because I don't know what he's about to say. I don't know what he's about to say.
Trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so she knows, right? She knows all rips.
All the
like,
West Africans know what Wahala means.
Yeah.
I think that's a Nigerian word too, ain't it?
I think so.
Yeah, they use it. I don't know where
word.
where it originated, but I know they use it. I think Ghanaians use it.
Yeah, I first heard it from Nigerians.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, but I know it means trouble.
Yeah. So
Look on her
it's not
face.
too bad. It's not too bad. I promise. I promise.
He look worried.
Very concerned.
He look very concerned.
All right. So I asked you if you listen to music. You listen to Afrobeats, right?
I do.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So
I'm just going.
we got it. All right. One gotta go. Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy.
Burna Boy's definitely staying.
What you say? You gotta.
That's tough.
I know.
I mean, just off of like spins and discography, Wizkid's gotta go.
Ooh.
But personality wise, I would say Davido's gotta go.
Ooh.
You don't like Davido's personality? He from Atlanta.
It doesn't matter.
He from Atlanta.
That actually makes it worse.
Ain't he your people? He's Ghanaian or he's Nigerian?
He's Nigerian.
Is it because he cheated on Chioma?
At least once a week.
Dang! She said once a week.
Okay, Burna Boy doesn't have the best personality either, if we're being honest. If you know, you know. But Davido is just something else. He's embarrassing my Igbo sisters.
Iba. Okay. Yeah. Well, my reasonings were different. I said Wizkid, but that's just because I'm actually a Burna Boy fan. I love his music, and then Davido is cool, and I don't really listen to too much Wizkid anyway, so my life wouldn't be different if he was gone. So
he writes a lot of our favorite hits though, so
like
that's
what?
why it's
Like
a tough
what?
one.
Like what?
I mean, Tim's is really big because of Wizkid.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Really?
know, I didn't know
He
he
wrote
was
a lot of her
I didn't know
stuff?
he was filed the pen like that.
He brought her to the scene, her and Ira Star. So I don't know. It's tough.
So he's an OG, so he can't leave.
It's tough, but I mean, if we're just going off of hits, he'd go because just because you write doesn't mean that the world knows. Like, what are we putting on our Spotify list? It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is very tough, and I listen to all three pretty heavy in rotation.
Really?
Yeah, Wizkid got some.
What's a popular Wizkid song that I don't even know?
Wizkid's 3 of his songs. I mean, I could, but I don't know if you could.
What's a popular Wizkid song? Like
I like Diamonds. I love that song.
How
Diamonds.
does it go? You can't sing, but just try anyway.
I can't even think of how to sing it. Bad Girl with Ashake.
Yeah.
That song is tough. I was listening to it today. It's off of his last project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad Girl out.
Essence is good too.
Essence, yeah, of course, but that, that's very mainstream. Like that's one of his like big hits.
I feel like I know Essence. How does that go?
You don't need no other body.
Oh yeah, I'm tired of that song.
See, I carried the tune a little bit. It wasn't terrible.
It's a good song. I'm just tired of it because they played it out.
I don't know. Burna Boy is also kind of. I think he's peaked a little bit too. So I mean, he honestly could go too.
I still listen to Burna Boy songs from like years ago. I'm like
Alone
plays on my thing all the time.
African Giant is a classic.
African Giant is a classic. Last is on there. It's plenty. Love to Me.
Yeah, Love
to
Me.
Sure.
Yeah, is a classic.
So, I mean, that's a tough one. That's definitely a tough one.
That's why I knew.
But in 2025, I would probably say, okay, Wizkid, you can take a little break. Honestly, all 3 of them they could all take a break. Really, Davido's kind of on his last leg too. So
yeah, I mean,
they could all kind of take a break.
They were like the big 3.
We got Rayma, we got Naira Marley, we got a whole new crop of people coming up.
Ashake is doing his thing too.
Ashake is doing his thing.
Ashake is really doing his thing.
His last project,
yeah, bro,
that was great.
Really
so that's what I'm saying. So really, all 3 of those,
are we calling them the OGs? Are we calling them the OGs?
They call them the OGs.
We call them the OGs.
They're on the Mount Rushmore, but Mount Rushmore is all dead guys, so it's like they're on the way out. But they paved the way. And made Afrobeats global.
Yeah.
It's crazy you say Burna Boy is on his way out because I feel like he just got big
because he peaked really quickly. I think
he didn't just get big.
He went mainstream really quickly.
He went
recently.
mainstream very quickly,
and it was recently.
I think last was probably his first I'm here.
I mean, but it's more so. I guess if you look at like a global perspective, but like from an Afrobeats perspective, that was like what 2017.
Yeah,
it was a long. I remember like in 2018, 2019, like. People over here were like listening to it.
Yeah.
And then 2020, when I really started listening to Afrobeats pretty heavy, like Burna Boy was heavy in the rotation. So like I think maybe from
he wasn't going mainstream by that point.
Yeah, it's like from American perspective, is relatively new, but he's been pretty big. And like even I think like even London, like the UK catches on the Afrobeats a little quicker than we do just because of the proximity.
Right.
So I think he might have even been big there before he really got big. Now it's like you hear him at every club party and on the radio.
He collaborates with everyone too.
Yeah, he's on everybody's stuff.
They call him the African Drake collaborates
exactly. I was literally about to say the same thing. He's literally on everybody's stuff.
All of the Caribbean artists. Now he's doing pop. So yeah. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, honestly, all 3 names could go.
The industry is in good hands, though.
The
industry is in good hands.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I
with
hear
the
more
African
stuff from
fusion.
Tim's, though. I really want to hear.
You like Tim's?
She's a vibe.
Yeah,
She's a vibe.
Tim's is smooth.
She's
Tim's is smooth.
Is it because of how she looks, or is it the music?
I mean, both. Honestly, that's a beautiful woman.
She is a beautiful woman.
Yeah. Tim's
but she just also makes good. Her stuff is like free. I started respecting her with Free Mind because it was that was. Like her stuff is like I'm cerebral and deep, so a lot of times, and I like music like that.
Yeah,
I love music.
That project before
like
that
a
was
neo soul situation.
Yeah, like with the Afrobeats feel.
So
like
here, y'all can probably disagree with this, but this is the best way I can think. She to me is like the Afrobeats version of like Erykah Badu. Because like as far as her deepness and like she feels so soul-y.
I think Erykah Badu is a little more soulful though. Like
that's true.
Maybe
I think
more Jill Scott.
But also her vibe is just like she has the god. That's what I'm saying. She's really attractive. Like she has the goddess.
Yeah, she has what you call sex appeal, right? It's not even that she's trying. It's just she just like exists. It's like a siren energy.
Yeah,
she
siren. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
and she doesn't try. She just vibes.
Yeah.
It's like a Rihanna. Like even if Rihanna was wearing sweats, she'd still be sexy. Some people just have that energy. I think.
Yeah.
She has that energy.
I think that's a good.
That's a good way.
That's a good analogy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I like Tim's. I'm rooting for her. I don't know if she's as mainstream as people maybe would want her to be, but she's definitely working behind the scenes. I think, having a soundtrack on Black Panther, working with Beyonce, that really kind of. Yeah, she was on the album.
What album?
She was on both of the albums, actually. The Lion King one, and she was on Renaissance with Grace Jones. Move. I think they did 2 songs, actually, on that album. And then, Black Panther, that was major, too, to have that on the soundtrack. She wrote for Rihanna a couple more times, too. So I think she's here to stay.
Yeah.
But probably in a way that Wizkid is more so behind the scenes, I'm thinking. Maybe. I don't know if a lot of people can just off top name 3 of her songs.
Yeah, but not a lot unless you like a real.
Unless you really think, but the checks are clearing, obviously. I mean, she was on the Jennifer Hudson show the other day. I was like, oh wow, like okay, she's here.
Was she?
She was. I don't watch the Jennifer Hudson show, but they always have the
intro.
And I saw her, and I was like, oh wow, she's here.
Whoever is on Jennifer Hudson's marketing team, they
so
snapped when they came up with that idea.
Because honestly, like, when we think about ratings and how it works, like, just the fact that people are even just sharing those clips, that's enough to get people talking about the J Hud show.
Yeah,
I've never seen an episode.
I've never seen an episode of the show.
I can't even think of other people's
comes on.
Like shows. Like, who else has a show? Like, because I don't watch any of them.
Me either.
But I know Jennifer Hudson has it, and I know who she's interviewing.
Exactly. And it's just so engaging, and it's like, oh wow, that's yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a good Wahala topic, my friend.
That was a good Wahala topic.
Thank you. See, I told you, y'all was over here concerned. I'm like,
well, he screamed when you said it.
Well, I say I do it because I'm being dramatic.
Yeah, okay. that's his thing.
That's just my thing because I'm just loud.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to hear more about. First of all, how do you pronounce it, Lady
Adaure?
Adaure. What does that mean?
Okay, so Lady Adaure is my grandmother's title, my late grandmother's title. So my family, they're from the Anglican Church.
Okay.
Very similar to, I guess, I don't really know if it's very similar to Catholicism, but they have titles in the Anglican Church. And so when a man is a knight or ordained a knight, his wife is a lady or dame, from what I've understood. I wasn't raised in Anglican, but that's how I learned it to be. And so my grandfather was ordained a knight, so his wife was a lady. Now, when my mom named this organization Lady Adaure, I didn't know that was, my grandmother died before I was born. I knew her as Cordelia. That was a name I've always known. But Adaure is her Nigerian name. So my mom wanted to tie that in. So Lady Adaure Outreach Foundation, named after her mom.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So what, can you tell us a little bit more about, a little bit about the work that you all do? And also, since your mom is the one that kind of started, what inspired her to do that?
So the organization was co-founded by us in 2013. At this time, my mom was wrapping up her PhD in public health, and she's a registered nurse. She's all about patient care, healthcare. That was her thing. I was still an undergrad, pursuing my degree in journalism. Didn't know what public health was, but I loved the mission behind it. So when my mom is doing her dissertation, her project is in Central America, and the research she was doing was on people who are doing grassroots health initiatives in Central America. And so as she's doing the research, little things are creating larger impacts. And so she felt inspired, was like, well, if people that look like me in different countries can do this within their communities, why can't I? Because as we're all Africans here, we know that the healthcare system in Africa or developing areas is fragile. Yeah. It's fragile here, so let alone there. And so she got inspired by that. And so she named the organization in her mom's name, because her mom died in 92, right before I was born, at the age of like 59. And that's obviously relatively young, from just what we would consider preventable issues. So it was complications of diabetes and other things that she had. And so a lot of things that we see in our community, whether we're here, there, wherever, is, just a little bit of things that we can change, little lifestyle behaviors that we can change to live, hopefully, a long life. And so that was the inspiration behind the organization. And so what we would do was, we're always going to Nigeria anyway to visit family. We said, okay, well, let's also have an impact. And at this time, it was very small. Just even if we could just print out some flyers, put in the newspapers about like public health awareness and how to keep yourself safe, drink a little bit more water, walk a little bit more, lessen, how much fried foods you're eating, just little things. And so that was our first health fair. It was just a little small, like, booth, if you will, outside of my grandfather's home in the village, the rural side of Nigeria, giving out like supplements. I think we went to Sam's Club before we left here. got like some bottles of, Tylenol, things that, we take for granted. Everyone has a leave in their cupboard and things that folks there might not have. And just, thanks for coming. Here's a little baggie. Here's what you can do to help yourself. We don't even know if it had an impact. But then people started getting used to it. They were like, wow, that was helpful. Thank you for sharing that information. When are y'all going to do it again?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, again. So at this point, my mom was like, all right, well,
just one time.
Okay, right. So
run
we
it
got
back.
We got back, and my mom wasn't a citizen at this time. She just had her green card. So she's like, you know what? I want to start doing this a little bit more global. But to do that, I need, some protection. So let me get my citizenship. So she did that. She started like looking into how to make this a little bit more official. And it's a little bit challenging to have an organization that's servicing outside of the U.S. as a nonprofit here, right? Mm-hmm. You can't get the benefits of a nonprofit if you're not serving people here. So we realized, okay, well, this has to be an NGO based abroad. So that's the official part of it. But then what next? So we got a little bit more structured with the process. And so now we're going into our second year, and it became like an actual event where we actually announced that this is happening, not just like a walk-up situation. And it was still very, very, very small. But as the years went on, the organization just continued to grow. People expected this. So we said, okay, well, the first weekend of every year, that's going to be the weekend. So that's in stone. It's going to have an agenda, and it's going to be an all-day event. And it got to the point where there were just so many people coming. I mean, the healthcare professionals that we were contracting, they can only do but so many hours. It wasn't possible. So we said, okay, well, one day is not enough. Let's do 2 days. So then it blossomed into a 2-day event. And we kept doing that for years and years and years and years. And then we realized, well, 2 days, it does have impact. But if you're an NGO and you're servicing this community, what else from February through December before you get back in January? So we started publishing public health communications. And at this time, I was working at the CDC. So I'd been doing it there, doing all types of articles and writing blogs and such. And I'm like, well, if I'm doing it here, why can't I do it there? And so I was writing similar content and just like prevention, care, blase. And you also have to recognize that this population, they're not receiving information like how we are. They don't have smartphones. Most of them don't. They're not on the internet like we are. So you have to tailor your communications to meet them where they are. And so they best receive information in the church or at school, right? That's where they spend most of their time. And they don't have 9-to-5s in the village, right? They're at church or they're at school. So that was a challenge. So we had to build these relationships with local media, which are the newspapers, bulletins, education bulletins, and publish that. And so that's what it was. That's what our organization was, public health education, and then this 2-day fair. And we kept doing that until 2020. We got back January 2020 to the States, and I'm at work. I'm at the CDC, and they're like,
yeah,
SARS-CoV-2. And we're like, whatever. We're doing Ebola work at this time. We're like, whatever. Nobody believes this is real. Trump is like, it's not real. So we're like, it's not real, right? Foreshadowing like an MF, right?
It got very real.
Trump was like, this isn't happening. So the agency's like, okay, this is not happening. And then February goes by, March goes by. People in Nigeria are asking us like, hey, other countries are shutting down. What is this? And we're like, well, maybe it's a couple of weeks going by like a bird flu situation. And then it got real. Mid-March, they tell us to go home. The borders are being shut. And at this time, we're like, okay, is the world ending? We don't know what's going on. And people are asking us because they're kind of looking to us. We've kind of at this point set ourselves up to be pillars in the community, whereas like people expect us to have all the answers. I don't know if nobody has all the answers. Nobody. And there was just a lot of unknowns. There wasn't a vaccine. There weren't tests. People were just dying from this virus all over the world, particularly in Asia. And so in Africa, who's going to be the most vulnerable in the world? The Africans, right? That's the last that anybody's going to look for. So there was a lot of communication going around that, drink salt water, that will help. They'd seen Trump say something about disinfectants. That information was going around wildly. So we couldn't go because at this time, this is like April, May, June. This pandemic is really starting to happen. So we just started pumping up our education to the best we could to counter what we knew. We didn't know a lot either here, but please don't drink, salt water. Don't drink. At that time, we didn't even know, like, people were drinking salt water. That was the directive. People were drinking disinfectants mixed in water because they just didn't know.
Jesus.
And so that's kind of where we became. So we realized like, oh wow, we're becoming a trusted resource in the community. And so while we can't physically be there, we realized that public health education is just as important as the physical aspect of having those health fairs. And that was that time when we learned that. And so when the borders opened up, the pandemic has gotten under control. We resumed activities as we have, but I just kind of walk you through that journey to show you how like we started off as just a very small initiative, like, hey, like this is who we are. And then when the pandemic happened, we realized the impact of, being a trusted voice in the community. And so that's what our organization, I would say, has become. And, we just came back from our 10th year, technically the 11th year of the organization, but because of COVID, that 1 year of a hiatus, we had our 10th health fair, massive event, awards were given, it was just amazing. We have a street named after the organization now in the community. So it's really grown. And we really position ourselves as pillars in the community of public health and trusted sources. Yeah.
So you said this phrase a few times while you were talking, and I think that's what led you to doing what's happening now. You said, "What else?"
Yeah.
You said, "We're doing this. What else?"
Right.
This happened. Okay, great. What else?
Right.
I think that is an important, just mindset in general to have. That's something that, for better or for worse, maybe it's a gift and a curse, because always thinking about the next thing can sometimes mess stuff up.
Absolutely.
But what else is a very powerful question to ask, and I think that's why y'all got to where you got. Absolutely. Because you weren't satisfied with this. You saw an opportunity, and you saw the initial opportunity, and you said, okay, that, and then you were like, oh, this might be something else. What else could we do? Right. I think that's a powerful mindset to have, and I think that's, like I said, that's why y'all are dope right now, and we'll continue.
We try. It's not easy because again, it started off. It wasn't, from, as I just explained, it wasn't from the mind of like, oh, business people and how can it wasn't from that mindset. It was just from the mindset of how can we help. There was just a need, and there continues to be needs. Even here, there's needs, but within your own community, when you can put a name to some of the faces, and it's always a what else, and it's scary, but we believe God that because it's something that we're doing for the community, it will just continue to grow. This year, we had a suggestion. We've got our population, they tend to be older, and someone was like, wouldn't it be great if the organization gave out canes and walking sticks to people who come, because we saw some people come with makeshift walking sticks, just walking, I don't know, miles just to come to our health fair.
I'm sure some of those walking sticks were fly, though, because I'm sure some of them probably carved them out.
Probably, but probably not. Like,
probably not. But in my mind, it's all
about perspective, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so it was something we were just like, because these folks don't have cars. They didn't drive. And one lady, I don't know how far she walked, but she said she started walking at 6 and got there around 8:30. So she had been walking and walking and walking, taking breaks along the way just to be at that space. Jesus. That's humbling.
That's
and it's
healthy too.
Well, but she's like 65
that's
in the sun. And I'm like, you think about it, you're like, wow, things you just take for granted. Here I am sitting with my little fan with my visor, like trying to, cool down because I think I'm about to have a heat stroke. And there's people that have walked 2.5 hours just to be there, just to get the glasses, see a doctor, because that's something they could never do otherwise, right? Wow. And so it's humbling. So that what else question, while it is a little bit intimidating, it's a driving force. And for me, as someone who didn't start off understanding what public health was, but when I worked for the agency for almost 4 years, and then I got immersed in it, and I realized public health is for all of us. That's a question we have to all ask ourselves. Like, my background is more media, entertainment, arts, journalism, communications, what have you. But as someone who breathes, as someone who has a pulse, what public health is for all of us, right? Yeah. Everything is public health. When you see a pothole on 400, that's a public health issue. Look it up, road safety, right? When we're seeing bridges and the infrastructure, that's all public health. Smoking, public health. So these things all affect us because what your behavior is, it could affect all of us. If you come in here and you're puffing on, let's say, a hookah in a small space, it's affecting all of us. I don't know if he has asthma or she has a precondition, right? So we just don't know. And so our behavior affects others and ourselves.
Facts.
And so I realized, like, oh, wow, like, okay, all of us should care about public health, right? We all should, because it's just, you know, some of the stories I hear at this fair. One lady, she came up to give her a testimonial last year. She didn't know. She's in her late 30s. She has young kids. Didn't know anything was wrong with her. She went through our the process, got her blood sugar drawn, and her blood sugar, and please don't attack me in the comments. I'm not a health person, like a healthcare expert, but her blood sugar was so abnormal. So for an example, let's say a healthy blood sugar range is like, let's say 90 to 100. I don't know. Hers was like 400. It was like quadruple what a normal blood sugar range should be. And she's not super overweight or anything. She was at the point that she could have had a coma. She could have gone into a coma. Wow. And so my mom saw that. She rushed over. The doctors were like, oh my God, you need to get on this. Like, did you know your blood sugar was that high? And she had no idea. She just made small changes in her diet, and she came back a year later this year, healthy blood sugar. She's lost some weight, and she said she's never felt better. She didn't know that her blurry vision had a connection to that. And maybe it didn't, but she said that when she started like focusing on a little bit of a healthier lifestyle, her eyes that she thought she just could not see properly and nothing was helping was related to that. So it's just things like that. It just keeps us going.
So it's interesting you say that she didn't know the condition that she was struggling with. And we're all West African here. We all know about, you know, witchcraft and stuff like that, being people blaming stuff like that on things. And it's like, in her situation, she could have easily just gone into a coma and not woken up. And they would have said somebody hexed her.
You know?
And reality is not. Now, I do believe that some of that stuff is absolutely 100%. But it's not always that.
It's not always.
Sometimes it's just stuff that we could have. Exactly. Sometimes it's just stuff that we could have.
Absolutely.
If we knew better, we would have been able to do better.
It's ridiculous. Like, and I'm not fit fam. I'm not. I'm just a normal average human being, just like the rest of everybody else. But I'm in Nigeria, and I feel like my body's shutting down. Like, y'all are eating just junk. Like, and if you treat your body like that, you're gonna feel like that, right? Yeah. You can't have every meal with a glass of Fanta or malt every meal. Your kids are eating Indomie for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, rice for breakfast. Like, it's like we have to also take control of who we are. Yeah. We can't say, oh, things are expensive, this is all we have available. No, because people forget, like, we're the motherland. Like, all of these healthy organic foods. You're Sierra Leonean, right?
Right.
You're Liberian, right? Mm-hmm. So I was speaking to a woman, she's both. She's half and half, and she has began to import.
He is too, technically.
Oh, really? She's beginning to. She has a restaurant in Lilburn. She's beginning to import food from her farm there because it's healthier. Like, people are looking to us to have the healthier diets and the cleaner diets because our food is supposed to be organic. So if I'm going to ShopRite when I'm in Lagos and all of the juices are cocktails, and it's just like, where did we stray so far? Why are we eating like the Western world? Like, we're supposed to eat cleaner. Basically,
we have let them influence us too much.
I'm just like, what's going on? Like, you can't even find organic food in Nigeria anymore.
And what's the name of that restaurant, by the way, though?
I'll get it. See, I followed her on Instagram. I just met her recently at an event right before Christmas. But I was just so inspired by her story. But I'm just like, why are we eating like the people that are looking to eat like us? Like, we're not gonna. And then when we see that the life expectancy continues to dwindle in West Africa, it's just like, it's because we're not treating ourselves well. We can't be in the sun all day. We understand that, okay, there's differences. Put a hat on. It's very simple. Put a hat on. That simple education goes a long way. We gave out sunglasses to everyone this year. Like, just protecting your eyes, protecting your skin from UV rays while you are out there. You're farming. We understand that's your occupation. But there's little things you can do to protect yourself. You can't say, oh, okay, well, or I think they follow us too. They want to be like us. So I'm in Lagos and all the restaurants is just Korean barbecue, sushi, this, that. I'm like, where's y'all's food? Like, this, where's your food that you eat, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are we not exercising? Why are we not going to the gyms? Why are we not drinking water? Like, little things like that matter. Get to sleep. We think too much. I know it's stressful. We know leadership is bad. That's not new. We're dealing with it here in the U.S. But go to bed. Like, you have to
go to bed.
Take care of yourself. Rest, right? Bed. Protect yourself. Sexual health was a big one too. Protect yourself, right? So there's just so many things I think that people just don't realize. Can't blame the devil for everything.
What's the healthcare status like? From what I know, a lot of doctors that might be in Nigeria leave. Like,
it's not great. It's not great. Even some of the best hospitals, like, I don't know if it's just the overall mindset. Doctors, my cousin is in Kano. It's a city in northern Nigeria, and all of the doctors went on a strike for the whole summer last year.
What?
3 months.
Ain't no Hippocratic oath? Like, you gotta help people?
Because they felt like they weren't getting paid fairly, so it was just a universal strike. So if you needed health care, you just had to figure it out.
Figure it out.
Damn, like get on YouTube, like it's
Figure it out.
Just figure it out.
Figure it out. Figure it out. So it's just like the
Wow.
healthcare system is so fragile. Things we take for granted. And it's just like you can't obviously do everything yourselves, but I feel like if you prioritize yourself a little bit more, I think sometimes, at least I can speak for Nigeria. I don't know every country, but you know, I'm a Christian. I came from church. That's why I was a little late today. But at the same time, you can't say you're gonna pray everything away, right?
Yeah.
God helps doctors go through med school so that they can help us. So they're there for a reason.
Facts.
You know, we can't say, oh, I have a headache. It's been a piercing headache for a month. I'm just going to pray it away. No, that could be an aneurysm for all you know. Go get checked out, right? So it's just little things like that. And so that's where we've gotten to the point where we're like, okay, well, you guys also have to take control of your health. You know, we understand that you may not have access to doctors throughout the year, but there's absolutely no reason why, you know, instead of eating, you know, spaghetti every night, instead of eating fufu every morning, let's switch it up. Let's eat some eggs today, right? Let's eat some fruit. Y'all got orange. My uncle, he had an orange tree.
Yep.
And it's just rotting. Nobody picks it. Nobody eats it.
What?
They don't care.
So,
they take those things for granted. You see avocados on the ground. I'm like, pick that up and eat it.
one of my favorite things about being in Liberia was literally just being able to pick fruit.
And that's
off
what
the trees
that's what my
and
mom
eat it.
tells them. It's like, eat the food that y'all have. Y'all want to eat like us. Y'all want to eat like how y'all see us eating on. We don't want to eat that way.
I want to eat the fruit off the tree.
We're trying to eat we're driving the farmers markets out here. We want to eat better and more organic foods, but no, everything's packaged. People just, you know, are not prioritizing. And I think also a lot of it is just people feel, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be here for a good time. If it's not a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of understand that too, because I've been in a space where it's just like, even here, like I can't turn on the news. We've had 12 days of no rest since Inauguration Day. We have had no rest of these headlines, so I get it. It is draining when you're under bad leadership, but it's just like at the end of the day, it's just like, don't you want to be here for the children you have, the grandchildren you have? It's just, you know, it's just for me. And we talk to them, and you can see that light bulb go off. It's like, okay, yeah, like, you know what? I'm gonna take care of myself a little better. I asked someone, I said, when's the last time you had water? And this is an older lady in our family, and she had to think it had been about 4 days.
Excuse me?
No.
4 days without water?
In your 60s. It's crazy.
So what was she drinking?
Juice, beer, malt, Fanta.
Juice, beer.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's just like,
If I go like a day without drinking water, my body hurts.
I mean, you just have to take care of yourself. We only have one life, y'all. I mean, I take my own advice. We all need to take that advice, right? But it's just little things like that. I don't think people realize, you know, we're seeing here too, dialysis sensors are popping up. I had a professor in grad school. He was like, have y'all noticed, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but have y'all noticed that dialysis sensors like Davido sensors and kidney sensors,
all over the place.
They're all over, and they're mainly in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And that's not just unique to here. It's also happening there too. Like, it's so prevalent now. Like, everyone is having kidney issues in Africa.
At this point, I don't trust you if you're not a conspiracy theorist. Like, it's stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, if you don't believe there's something going on,
like,
then
if you think everything
not,
is surface level is real.
Because
like,
I was gonna say your professor said not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I mean
he wasn't wrong.
He's not wrong. If it's in our neighborhoods,
and it's just like, and I didn't really understand how prevalent it was until it started hitting home. I'm like, all of these people in my family are on dialysis now. It's in Africa, and I'm like, okay, we're seeing it with fibroids amongst black women, right? We're seeing it with PCOS amongst black women, right? We're seeing prostate issues amongst black men, right? So it's like, okay, something's not adding up here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody's doing stuff on purpose.
It's just like,
it's almost like we're not really welcome here.
And the thing about it is, and that's why I say it translates to all our areas of our lives, because now we have officials that are telling us verbatim, RFK said it. Like, he speculated that maybe black people don't need to be on the same vaccine schedule as non-black people because of different immune systems that we may or may not have. We know that's not true. You don't have to be a healthcare expert to know that's not true. Vaccines they don't discriminate, but that's what's being put out there. And a lot of people are going to die because they're going to start changing guidances from the CMS, CDC, NIH level. And you're going to start seeing that in the U.S. where the doctors are going to say, well, if you're a black baby, you probably don't need to be vaccinated as often as a white baby because that's what the White House is saying. So it's like, we can't help everything because it's a lot of craziness going on around us, but it's definitely important to keep our eyes open, stay woke, and then take ownership of what we can, right?
Facts.
You know?
Facts.
None of us have all the answers, but I feel like it's our duty. We're seeing it now with the repealing of a lot of things that have been around. It's like, okay, it's up to us to start educating ourselves a little bit more.
So I would be remiss if I didn't make this comparison. I didn't know RFK said that, but it sounds very, very, very similar to the statistics they used to put out in Jim Crow.
Oh, yeah.
That would say things like, I forgot, there's a whole museum about it here in Atlanta, but say things that would document, Africans are, or black people are by nature dumber than than their white counterparts, or
they've always tried to make that segregation. Even during COVID, do you remember when people were saying that black people were immune to COVID?
That was black people saying
that. Hold on, that was black people saying that. But do you know why black people were saying that? No. Because they weren't testing us. So there weren't numbers to show that we were actually getting COVID and dying from it.
Oh, wow.
So that's another thing. Why weren't they testing us? Because they weren't instilling trust in black communities. Black people did not feel comfortable being tested. They did not feel comfortable, and rightly so. We've seen it with the Tuskegee trials, right? So you're not testing black neighborhoods because you're not ensuring that there's that, in, like I said, with our organization, you have not shown yourself as a pillar of trust. Well, if I'm not testing the numbers, there are no black cases because they haven't been tested, right?
Facts.
And so black folks were going around saying we were immune from COVID.
And then you always got the black folks who will just take anything and run.
Yeah, and it's still happening. We see it now. We see it with so many other things. I saw something on Twitter the other day, and I was like, we're killing ourselves. I understand there are, and I don't, put anyone down for not understanding, right?
Yeah,
miscommunication is real, but at times we even saw it with this election. Like, even if it's black and white, it's like we still choose to believe or not believe what we don't want to believe or what we do want to believe. And it's like, again, it's like what we were saying earlier. You can't blame the devil. You can't blame the man. You can't blame government for everything.
Yeah,
we have got to. All of us have smartphones that are connected to our palms 24/7. If we weren't filming, we would all be on our phone right now. So it's like we're all connected to sources of truth. We just have to want to.
But then it's tough to discern what the source of truth is, because
it
there's so many
discern.
different. No matter what your viewpoint is, you can find a reasonable source or legitimate source.
It is, and then that's the answer that I don't have. I don't think any of us have. It's gotten to the point where in AI, I love AI, but it's not helping matters, because we're at a point now where you can create videos with AI, so you can really
literally create anything,
and it's getting better, and like it's rapidly improving.
It's like, rapidly improving, and
I'm laughing because I thought about I saw a video with it was a video of Diddy and R. Kelly in like an actual video of Diddy and R. Kelly in prison together.
That is scary. That's terrifying, but that's
and
real.
it looked real. I was like, how first of all, who's coming up with stuff like this? And the fact that you can do this is
the fact that you can
terrifying.
do it is terrifying. Bernice King, did y'all see? She demanded that Sexy Red take down a picture that she put up because they were slow dancing in the club.
Yeah,
Sexy Red and MLK. They were slow dancing in the club.
Wait, she had it was a video of Sexy Red and Martin Luther King.
Sexy Red and Martin Luther King slow dancing in the club,
and she
staring into each other's
don't
eyes.
Have any level of
and Bernice was like, "Hey, geez, thanks. Can you take that down?"
That's crazy.
And she did, to her credit, she did take it down.
She did.
Why would you even do that to me?
She didn't even make it. She was just reposting.
She reposted it. Yeah, it probably went viral.
She reposted.
I was gonna say, like, this is Ms. Pound Town. Like,
right.
She might not have the best discernment. Like,
she might not, and I didn't fault her for that. But it just shows, like, to your point, we're at a point where I honestly I don't have the answers. I don't think anyone has the answers with where AI is taking us. And it's going to become more challenging to discern what's true or what's false. And, it's kind of made the odds be in all of our favors at this point, because you just don't know. Because even, not to keep circling back to COVID, remember the government was telling us at one point to do one thing, and then it became the opposite.
Yeah.
So then the trust in the government was like, okay, what's going on here? You guys just said 6 weeks ago to do this, or, quarantine for X amount of days. Oh, never mind. Don't worry about it. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. So it's just like, you just don't know.
You got to be skeptical with everything.
You have to be skeptical with everything. I don't judge people for being conspiracy theorists at this point. I don't. Because we've been told things are facts, and they turn out not to be facts. So again, it circles back to some things. Just take ownership of yourself and try your best. Educate yourself where you can. when it comes to your life and wellness. Take ownership. We know the basics. We learned them in kindergarten. All of us did. So the basics.
Wash your hands.
Wash
Take a
your
shower.
hands.
You wash your hands with soap and not
They
hand
even
sanitizer.
told y'all to sing the birthday song 2 times. They made it easy for us. Just wash your hands with soap. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
I'm at Hobby Lobby yesterday. A lady comes out, does not wash her hands. She uses a hand sanitizer.
I'll call folks out. If you leave the bathroom, I'll be like, hey, bro, you're not going to wash your hands?
I think I should try that.
I'll call folks out because you're grown. You should wash your hands.
I don't do it, but I might try it.
But one thing before, we're running towards the end of the show. What you guys, as we mentioned, what you guys did is like just commendable. What you guys are doing, because there's a lot of us that are like over here or we're in the West and we have an idea. We want to help our community, but we don't ever take the initiative. We don't go back to Sierra Leone or Liberia or do anything. So in terms of like how you guys do that, like one being an NGO, like from what I heard, usually a lot of NGOs, they're not really the best thing for the community.
Yeah.
So that being a nonprofit in itself can be good, but a lot of NGOs are vehicles for the Western world to go in and essentially kind of control things. They can get a lot of funding and essentially like create systems where now Africans are more dependent on the systems as opposed to being able to build their own businesses or be independent.
Yep.
So can you speak to that, like what other NGOs doing versus how you guys are doing it and how somebody may be able to set up their own?
That's a great question. So every process is a little bit different when it comes to setting up an NGO. For us, that's why we're so committed to being self-funded and donor-funded, because once you have that inclusion of governments that may not have visions that are aligned with yours, it can go off the rails, and we recognize that as well. Does that maybe prohibit scaling? A little bit, sure. But does that help with, helping us sleep at night and knowing
integrity
that
matters.
The integrity matters.
Yeah.
I always say, do your research, figure out, the jurisdiction that you want to serve and how that will work and what partners and stakeholders you may or may not need to work with. We've gotten plenty of opportunities where it's like, okay, well, if you partner with the government or the governor, you may be able to do this. And our goal is to build a clinic. We've gotten the land, we've broken ground on it, but it's going to be a slower project because it's self-funded, right? And this clinic would be completely like a urgent care, but a zero-cost urgent care. It's going to take time, but we're more than happy to have that take more time than to compromise. Well, exactly. So always do your research. And because it always, like for us, our foundation started off as my mom's dissertation project, and seeing how it was done, it reminds me, even when I'm trying to do other initiatives, is every little bit matters. They say 5% a day over the span of X amount of days, you made a huge change. Right. So anything helps, because I can go out downtown Atlanta and give out socks to people, and that helps, right? So it's like however you can help, to me, I don't think it's a race. I don't think it should be measured against other NGOs or nonprofits. Figure out what your mission is, what you want to achieve, and just work every day towards that. And that's all you can do.
And to that point, like, well, one, I want to know how you guys are raising money, but two, like, that's really the purpose of platforms like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's why we're doing it, because when we rely on other people's money outside of our community, oftentimes that money comes with an agenda.
Absolutely.
And that agenda doesn't really serve us. So the purpose of this show is to create unity and be able to bridge the gap between resources, because there's a lot of people that would want to support what you're doing but may not be aware. So that's why we have this platform to be able to spread the word and, bridge the gap for resources. But how are you raising money now, and how can we assist you guys in getting funds so that you can scale while still maintaining the vision?
Absolutely, yeah. I appreciate platforms like this because, again, you allow me in a very transparent space to share what I'm doing without any strings attached. Yep. For us, we're self-funded, so people donate by asking, like, hey, can I donate items? We have folks donate glasses because we do the prescription glasses for attendees. Other items that are needed, we usually compile that list closer to when we head out, so we know what we need, and then we ship it with enough time so that it gets there on time by sea. But we take money, resources, even time. People volunteer their time. We can't. I'd be remiss if I don't mention the amount of effort that people put in the day of on the ground. So there's various ways. I always say email us, and then we can share with whoever's interested how they can support. Because it's not just money. It's a lot of other things. Like this year, we did dewormings on site for kids. We did, blood pressure medicine, malaria medicine, glasses, all of those things. And so, there's various ways to support the mission. We give food the day of, because for some folks, that's the only meal they'll get that day. And so we're very committed to ensuring that there's always a free meal for every attendee. So there's just various ways. I always say, when people want to support us, email, and we can tell you how to do that.
Gotcha. Awesome. You had something?
No, the final question of the day.
Oh, yeah. So, one question we asked, and then we'll wrap up. But we asked for people who, may be in the West and they're taking their first trip to Africa. If you've been to other countries in Africa or Nigeria specifically, what's one thing that you recommend that they get? Like, what experience? Where should they go?
Yeah.
What should they try and do on that first trip?
That's a great question, because for me, I've made it a mission this year. When I go back, I want to go a little bit earlier and try to see some other areas of West Africa and maybe even East Africa if there's time. But from the perspective of someone who's always just gone to Nigeria so far, do your research. If you have never been, go with someone that has been. Don't just go off Google. Make sure you do your research. Understand the areas that are safe. The infrastructure is a lot different from what we're used to here in the West. So, security matters, safety matters. I'm someone that goes with family that lives there, and I have security. I hire bodyguards for my time there, just because that's just the reality. If you're going for leisure, do your research. If you're going to a bigger city, a Lagos, a Dakar, those areas, you might have a little bit more leeway. Yeah. When I'm in Lagos, I hop in an Uber by myself. I can do that. But if you're going to more rural areas, use common sense. Work with someone that's there and just ensure that, you're not doing anything that's going to make you stand out, right? Yeah. That's common sense all over the world. I've been robbed in Paris. I've never been robbed in Nigeria. So use common sense. Crime is everywhere. It has no zip code. And just, go there. I encourage everybody to go. I have a friend that wants to go to Ghana. She's going this summer, and I'm so excited for her because, there's a lot more to see outside of the U.S. and Canada and Europe. Yeah. Africa is a beautiful place, and it's a commitment of mine, too, to see more of it this year, too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Desiree, for coming in. I enjoyed this conversation. The question of what else is actually going to be something that's in my head and for what I'm doing forward. So definitely would love to have you back on the show in the future to hear what else y'all got going on.
Hey, you guys keep it up. Like, I love stuff like this. When he approached me, we were at a conference last year, and I'm like, I just appreciate the independent, communications and media of this all. This is a major, to me, outlet, and it's really shedding light on organizations, businesses, and initiatives that may otherwise have not gotten that shine. And, I think we're all kind of doing our own different thing, but just uniting all of us in this space is really powerful. And so keep it up. You guys are doing amazing work, and I'm rooting for y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, fam. Well, that is another episode of Afronomics. We are here with the great Desiree. I don't even want to mispronounce the last name, so please
Anyasodo.
There you go.
Had to try that one.
Like, subscribe, tell everybody you know, share it. We're going to Nigeria one day.
Oh, absolutely.
Just make sure you have bodyguards and everything else. We'll see y'all later. Afronomics out.
Before we get out, how can people reach out? The email.
So you can email us at thelaof@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, www.thelaof.com.
All right, donate.
.org, sorry.
Donate. Send them.
They're going to put that in the description because I know I butchered that.
But yeah, donate.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of good work they're doing.
I appreciate y'all.
Peace out.
We out.